is in a tight situation right now, 3 down, not having the tiebreaker. They're facing Brooks Hall for the third straight start for Brooks, and on the flip side, Matt Larkins is facing the Barnstormers for the third straight time. These teams have seen each other, will see each other by the end of this weekend 10 times in 21 days. You get a look at Hall. He threw a dandy of a ball game last Friday against the Long Island Ducks. He picked up a 5-3 victory. Brooks, the 6'6" right-hander from Anderson, South Carolina, 3-2 with a 4.23 ERA. And he is facing Major League veteran Emilio Bonifacio leading off the ball game tonight. Bonifacio has been a very valuable commodity for the Ducks. He plays shortstop at times, and Kevin Baez at other times moves him out to play center. Jordany Valdespin getting the night off tonight, and the first pitch from Hall in the zone, says Nate Caldwell. We're underway at 1 strike. We talked about this at length last night, Eric. The Barnstormers are really in need of a very good start out of Brooks Hall.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get one like he had in his last outing.
Swing, and there's a little looping fly ball to left center field. Over goes Sanford to make the catch. 1 out. And that's the way to get started.
And it's a situation where these teams know each other, so there's going to be no surprises. It's who's going to have the upper hand. Last night, Kubiak just pitched a gem of a game for Somerset. If we could get something close to that out of Hall, it should look favorable, hopefully.
Travis Snyder, another longtime major leaguer, stepping in. He's their RBI leader with 34. 271 with 6 home runs for Snyder. As you get a look at Darian Sanford, he's patrolled the center garden very well so far this year. Swung on and missed. Hall getting ahead 0-1.
And we talked about how it seems Lancaster pitchers have had struggles in the first 2 innings of the ball game. If Hall can come out with a strong first inning, I think that could be a definite upside for Lancaster.
It needs to be a strong 6 or 7 innings. And it's not that the bullpen is overly taxed, but it may be that the lineup is. The last 6 home games, the starters have a composite ERA of 9.21. And that keeps your team on the field a long time early in the game.
Yes.
Hall misses the inner part of the plate. Snyder now bats 2-1. And yet another major league veteran on deck in Lou Ford. And usually they've got Jordany Valdespin at the top of the order, and they bat these guys 4 in a row. They've got a ton of experience at the top of the order for Long Island. 2-1, chopped on the ground, handled by the second baseman Bortnick. A quick 2 outs for Brooks Hall.
Well, and you talk about how this is kind of a pressure situation for the Ducks. Really kind of a pressure situation here for Lancaster, too. But you got that 7-game trip down to Texas. You want to go down there with some momentum and some mojo going into that series, because that's going to be huge.
The Barnstormers and Ducks have played 6 times this month. The 2 games have been decided by the whopping total of 7 runs. We have had 5 1-run games and 1 2-run game that was an insurance run late for the Barnstormers. Now a pitch way in on Ford, and that hits him, a 2-out base runner in front of first baseman David Washington.
Yeah, you look good for your first 2 batters, and then first pitch, you drill Ford right off the left hip.
Now their big slugger, David Washington, steps in. He beat the Barnstormers last Saturday with a 2-run home run in the bottom half of the 6th inning to the opposite field at Bethpage Ballpark. He has 8 home runs in the year. He's driven in 26. Big fellow will strike out quite a bit. Hall to the plate. Washington looks at a strike on the outside corner. 2-out base runner is Ford. Lewis stolen 1 on the season. Lou Ford turns 42 in August. But we've seen what do they call them, quaternarians, can do already on this homestand. Eddie Chavez had a big series for Somerset. That ball is swung at and lined into right field. 1 hop to Galen. And all of a sudden a threat for the Ducks. 2 outs here in the first inning. Ford aboard, hit by a pitch. David Washington singles into right. Taylor Ard will come to the plate. 270 hitter with 6 home runs is Ard.
You don't want to see that hit by pitch come back to haunt you. Yeah, nothing special with that at bat by Washington. Just kind of flipped the bat out there and dropped it into right field.
Ard is also a big man who wields a lot of home run power. 2 outs, 2 on. Hall to the plate. He is inside to the right-handed batting Ard. It's 1-0. Daniel Fields, a left-handed batter, waits on deck. Ard is the only batter out of the first 7 in the lineup for the Ducks who has not played at all at the major league level.
Wow, that's something.
Popped up foul. That'll travel back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike to Ard. But he's had some big power numbers in the past in the minor leagues. 6 home runs this year. The Barnstormers have felt one of those. Hall, the first time he faced the Ducks, gave up 4 runs in 1 inning and nothing else over 6. Last time, spread things out. 6 hits over 7 innings. Swing and a miss. De La Rosa fires behind Washington at first. It's not in time. Brooks Hall ahead of Taylor Ard at a ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs, 2 on.
And I know Hall keeps glancing back at Lou Ford, trying to draw his attention. I don't think Ford's in any condition to run here.
You're just trying to keep him as close as possible with 2 outs in the event of a base hit. Give your outfielders a shot.
But don't lose fact that you got 2 outs here. You need to be concerned with.
Here's the 1-2 to Ard. Ground ball pulled towards shortstop. Should get the Barnstormers out of the inning. A quick feed from Frias to Bortnick will do the trick. 6-4 on the force out. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 left for the Ducks here in the first. Barnstormers get their turn against Matt Larkins next here on BRC 11. There you see the batting order for the Lancaster Barnstormers as we open up this 4-game series against the Ducks. Blake Galen still in that number 2 slot. He has been thriving there. 10-game hitting streak for Galen. It's almost like being back home for him, batting second in the order, but he's a guy we know also does very well 3 or 4 in the lineup. Casey Hobson last night had a sacrifice fly and a very sharp single. He's working about as hard as you can work on your swing during the day. He'll be there at some point. Matt Larkins on the hill for the Long Island Ducks tonight. He's 5-1 with a 2.76 ERA. The Barnstormers, the one team that has handled him pretty well, even though he's 2-0 in the season series. Lancaster has picked up 19 hits off of Larkins in 13 innings of work. And they've scored 10 runs on him. He's won 6-5 twice. Darian Sanford leading off for the Barnstormers here this evening. And the first pitch to Sanford is a strike. Larkins doesn't walk many. He's given up only 7 free passes in 49 innings over his 8 starts this year.
Well, it'll be anxious to see the approach that the Barnstormers have. Maybe not the first time around, but maybe the second time around. Are they going to make them work, or are they going to be aggressive at the plate? But I would love to see the top of the lineup, guys like Sanford, get on base and do what they do best and wreak havoc on the base paths.
A ball and a strike upstairs to Darian, 2-1. Larkins has faced the Barnstormers both times at Bethpage Ballpark. Pitching here is always a little bit different, and it can throw the rhythm off of a pitcher very easily. 2 balls, 1 strike. Sanford with a swing and a miss. It is 2-2. Not that it affected Dwayne Belo or David Kubiak the last 2 nights. Boy, they pitched magnificently. 2-2. Larkins to Sanford. That's line to left and foul. Rattling around on the bullpen bench for the Long Island Ducks. Sanford at Long Island last weekend opened up 2 of the 3 games with doubles down the left field line, including the game against Larkin back on Saturday. But Larkin's got Rico Noel to line back to him on a hit and run for a quick double play. Here's a 2-2. Sanford chips another foul. The man who had a 13-pitch at bat earlier on this homestand, Darian Sanford, trying to wear Larkins down a bit here in the opening inning. Matt Larkins is a big guy, but he moves well. Sanford tried to exploit his size the first time Lancaster faced him this year. Tried to bunt on him. It didn't work. Larkins got after it in a hurry. 2-2. Here's the motion, and to Darian Sanford, another foul ball to the left. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I like this. Is Sanford right off the bat making him work?
Larkins threw a 1-hit shutout against the Barnstormers in July of last year with 10 Ks. 2-2. Sanford wraps that up the middle, base hit center field. Marvelous at bat for Darian. He was frustrated last night. You could see it. He struck out 3 times in his 4 plate appearances. Bounces back here with a single up the middle to get the Barnstormers underway tonight. Now can Larkins and Cabrera control them? The Barnstormers are hungry for stolen bases. They only have 1 in the last 2 games, and that was questionable in a sense in the late innings last night. But the official scorekeeper thought that they were holding Garcia at the bag well enough to rule it a stolen base. Here is Blake Galen hitting .308 with league-leading homer and RBI totals. Larkins comes to the set. Sanford bluffs, doesn't go. Galen swings and drops the ball out the right field line right at Snyder for out number 1. That brings on the designated hitter, Ryan Castile. .331 hitter. Another good swing by Galen.
Yeah, probably a good thing that Sanford wasn't going, because if he was, that would have been an easy double play.
Castile, the master of the 2-hit game. He has 14 of them. He still has not had 3 hits in 1 game this season, but the batting average, talking about his consistency, as he picks up a base hit of some sort just about every game. Throw to first, diving back in, Sanford. He may try to challenge Larkins. Casey Hobson, the Lancaster first baseman, due next. So 2 well-hit balls against Larkins. As I said, the Barnstormers with 19 hits off of him in 13 innings the first 2 times he has faced our ball club this year. And inside to Castile. Ball 1-0. Sanford's presence forces pitchers to rush.
Well, it gets in your head because you never know if he's going to go in the first pitch, second pitch. You know, how's he going to read this? Obviously, Sanford has seen Larkins. He knows his move.
Doesn't go. And the pitch to Castile hits straight away center field. Coming on for it is Fields to put it away. 2 down since that leadoff base hit. Casey Hobson stepping in. 5 hits, all singles for Casey, and 32 at bats. And considering his overall body of work with the Lancaster Barnstormers over these past 3 seasons, you may not find another stretch where he's gone this long without an extra base hit. Swing got a little bit mixed up. He's working to get it back. The shift is on against him here. Sanford will get a throw from Larkins. He dives back in.
It's just a matter of time. That's all. Because we know what he can do. We've seen it. It's just going to take a little bit longer than what we were hoping for.
We've seen a mixed bag of throws from Ramon Cabrera over this season, too. Pickoff move to first, and Sanford is back in. There are nights Cabrera is just lights out with the arm, and other nights he bounces and sails everything. So you don't know what you're going to get here. Lancaster and Darian Sanford yet to take the risk. Hobson awaiting a pitch. Darian goes. The pitch is high. The Cabrera throw has no chance whatsoever. I don't care. You could have been Johnny Bench, Pudge Rodriguez, Yadier Molina. You name it. He's not going to be able to throw out Darian Sanford with that kind of a jump. He read Larkins perfectly.
Yeah, he applied the tag. He was almost hitting his heel and then tried to tag him thinking Sanford might have overslid the bag. But, boy, what a tremendous jump.
That's number 33 for Darian Sanford. He leads the league now by 8 over his teammate Rico Noel. To Hobson, 1-0. Cut on. And I guess foul tipped.
Yeah.
It is a ball and a strike. Barnstormers looking for a base hit to take the early lead.
Yeah, this could be big for KC to get a big 2-out hit. Get that first run of the ball game and try and get some momentum going.
Right-hander sets to Hobson. Fastball upstairs, 2-1. Trayvon Robinson, the Lancaster left fielder, waits on deck. Looks like we're going to have a special guest in here later on tonight. A couple of innings down the road. We're not going to name names until such time as he jumps in here, but somebody who has had a pretty good career in this game. To Hobson, 2-1 pitch. Lifted foul down the right side. Now to play. 2-2.
That ought to be fun.
2 outs. Sanford, the runner at second base. Hobson trying to pick up the run. He has driven in 3. One last night with a sacrifice fly in the first inning. Here comes the 2-2. Hobson swings and lifts the ball deep to right field. Way back it goes. He's on the board. Welcome back, KC. It's 2-0 Lancaster.
Well, that's got to be a weight off of his shoulders. Not necessarily for the home run, but again, just another key hit at a big time. Granted, it's the first inning, but boy, that has got to be a relief for KC.
It's so good to see that. A man who had 45 homers and 126 runs batted in 161 games as a Barnstormer over the last 2 years. The stroke is coming back, and he has launched his first of this year. The Barnstormers out to a 2-0 lead against Larkins here in the first inning. Trayvon Robinson stepping in. Robinson, 292. With a couple of home runs, he's driven in 18. Larkins ready to go. And a Trayvon that is swung on and looped out the left field. On for it comes Vega. He'll make the catch. All the putouts for the outfielders here in this first inning. But Sanford singles, Hobson homers, and the Barnstormers pick up 2 runs on 2 hits with no errors. Nobody left on base. We're done with 1, and Lancaster's got the early 2-0 lead. Brooks Hall stick to a 2-0 lead. We talked about the close games between the Barnstormers and the Long Island Ducks so far this year. The biggest lead we have seen for either team in one of these previous 6 ball games up in Central Islip has been 3, and it got whittled away immediately. So they go back and forth, they do. Now it's Daniel Fields, the center fielder, starting off the second against Brooks Hall. But I think if you're the Barnstormers right now, you don't want to see that tonight. You want to have your foot on the accelerator. Both these clubs looking for wins in this 4-game weekend series. Somerset will open a series at home against Southern Maryland, and Sugarland will be in York. Neither one of those teams playing tonight. Southern Maryland still tangling with New Britain. York still has the Road Warriors. To Fields, swinging a high pop fly out the left. Over for it goes Robinson. An easy play for Trayvon. 1 pitch, 1 out. That's the way you like to get it going if you're Brooks Hall. And more than that, if you're Ross Peoples right now, because he is fully aware of the way the starting pitchers have been these last 2 series at home. They have really been hurt here. And he knows he needs the good start out of Hall, and then you follow that up with Gardner and Albaladejo the next 2. Now Ramon Cabrera, switch hitting catcher, stands in. He's got big league time as well. First pitch to him is away. Ball 1, 1-0.
Yeah, so after tonight, our next televised game will be Sunday. And we'll see Jurgens against Reed. Should be quite a matchup.
Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jair Jurgens, a familiar name from Major League Baseball because it's a name that's going to stick in your mind. It's not Bill Smith. He's a player from the Netherlands Antilles. 1-1 pitch in the air as well. Out to Robinson. Trayvon barely has to move. He's got 2 putouts in the inning. Second baseman Cody Puckett will check in. I mean, Hall will live like this all night long. You get the ball in the air here to left and center field, unless somebody really meets it with the barrel of the bat, it's a pretty easy out. It's not going to travel. There is no wind here tonight.
Nope.
Cody Puckett steps in, getting the start at second base here this evening. Fastball to him off the inside corner, ball 1.
Now, depending on how Hall performs tonight, let's say he's pitching well, will Ross take him as far as he can, or do you think he's got him scripted for a certain amount of innings?
I would think that he'd love to get 7 out of Brooks if he can. 2-0 pitch, high fly ball again. And this is a pretty good rhythm for Brooks Hall. And jackpot, 777s here in the top of the second inning. The cherries are all lined up. We just won a lot of nickels. Brooks Hall sets the side down in order. Bottom of the second coming up. 2-0 Lancaster. Get the view inside the truck here tonight. Guys are very busy. Almost as busy as Trayvon Robinson was in the top of the second inning. He caught everything.
Although he had to move as much as these guys did.
Yeah,
which is not much at all.
Probably could have been in one of these swiveling chairs on wheels and made all 3 of those catches as much as he had to move. Matt Larkins going to work in the bottom of the second. Coronado, Frias, and De La Rosa will come to the plate.
Well, how nice would it be if they could tack on another run or two in this second inning?
Barnstormers, I think, would love to stay on the accelerator. The only night they've been able to do that in a while was Monday, when they scored the 10 runs over the last 3 innings. Nate Coronado leads off against Matt Larkins here in the second. Nate hitless the last 2 games. It's dropped him to 214. The pitch taken for a strike. It is 0-1. A 2-run first inning for the Barnstormers. They had one of those 2 nights ago and did nothing afterwards, not until the 9th.
No. We don't want to hear that.
Well, like I said about staying on the accelerator, lined into right center, a base hit for Coronado. And he doesn't want to have any part of no offense for the next 7 innings. Coronado's on board. Vladimir Frias coming in. 336 for Vlad on the year.
That ball just kind of tailing away in the strike zone, and Coronado just went down to get it. Just lifted it out in the gap. Nice start here in the second inning. Love to see that leadoff guy on base.
Vladimir Frias steps in. He's the league leader in on-base percentage and currently 6th in batting here in 2018. I think right now he would be a shoo-in to go to the All-Star game. To Frias, that's wrapped the second base. This has a shot at being 2. Bonifacio back to first, and they double up Vladimir. 4-6-3. That was as easy as it gets. Now you force Anderson De La Rosa in all likelihood to take a pitch or 2. Now you get the leadoff base hit for Coronado. You're trying to build something again, and a very quick double play. First pitch swinging was Frias, and a ground ball right at the second baseman, Cody Puckett. It's good to see Cody back on the field because we were there last year for his catastrophic knee injury that took him out of the rest of the season and threatened his career.
Running the bases?
He was trying to duck around Casey Hobson on a tag on a bunt in the middle of a ball game. And it wasn't that KC did anything ugly to him. It was just one of those routine plays. It was about 2/3 of the way down the line. Puckett really had nowhere to go. So one of those, I'll give it a try moves. He ducked sideways, and his patellar tendon went. So it probably meant it was going anyway, and that was just the final straw. But it was really ugly. 1-2 to De La Rosa.
Guarantee we'll never see Puckett try that move again.
Fastball upstairs, 2-2. De La Rosa doing his best to extend the inning for his battery mate Brooks Hall. Two is on the way, and that's grounded left side, and it is through, a base hit. And I think back to 2 nights ago in the bottom of the 9th inning, De La Rosa also hit a ground ball at that point, 3 balls and 2 strikes, that was right at the third baseman for the Patriots, Craig Massey. If he hits that same ground ball, the Barnstormers would have had a chance to pull that game out. Here's Tyler Bortnick.
Well, it's funny because you were talking about extending the inning, and I happened to hear the one part of the ball game when you and Pete were talking, and Pete was saying how some pitchers like to get right back out there. Other ones like to take the time, to rest up a little bit. You wondered the fact that Hall's in a pretty good groove. He just might want to get back out on the mound.
Well, he only threw 7 pitches in the top of this inning. That probably wouldn't make too much of a difference one way or the other. Ball 2 is inside, 2-0. But I think Brooks and the entire ball club would like to have an easier game against the Ducks than what we've had. Every game has gone down pretty much to the last pitch.
Well, which is why I think it's imperative that they get a couple of runs and make Long Island work.
Bortnick with a fly ball left center field, signaling for it Vega. 2 singles in the inning, but nothing ever develops. The Barnstormers never got a man beyond first base, and at the end of 2, still 2-0 Lancaster. A Thursday night here at Clipper Magazine Stadium, and it is a thrifty Thursday, and we've got ourselves a special guest here in the top half of the third inning, a man who for 4 seasons was the guy. As far as pitching was concerned at the major league level, this was the guy for about 4 years. We're talking about former World Series MVP and a guy who won 20 games 4 years in a row for the Oakland Athletics, Dave Stewart. And Dave, welcome to Lancaster. It's quite a surprise you showing up at the ballpark today, and you're here specifically to visit with Rico Noel, a young man that you've had a relationship with for quite a number of years.
Yeah, coming to see Rico, I was spending some time in New York, Long Island to be exact. I saw this team play last night, so they're probably going to think I'm bad luck. They lost last night too. But I came to see Rico. Had a couple of days in New York, Long Island, and I had a day where I had absolutely nothing to do. My first train ride this morning, took the train here. A nice, relaxed ride, and now I'm watching baseball.
Leading off is Anthony Vega here in the third inning. He takes a ball away, 1-0. Brooks Hall has retired 6 out of 8 so far, and I'm shielding my eyes from the sun as usual. There's Dave Stewart, part of the storied Oakland A's teams from the late 80s, the Bash Brothers, and a number of other stars. Dennis Eckersley was there. Those had to be great times in Oakland.
Well, we had some good guys, a good group of guys that.
High fly ball right field. Back on this goes Galen. The wall will not contain it. And the Ducks have a run back as Anthony Vega picks up his first home run of the season.
And we had a good bunch of guys there with, Dave Parker, Dave Henderson, Ricky Henderson, Carney Lansford, the Bass Brothers, as you mentioned. But we were a really, really good group of guys, a close-knit group of guys that played together and even did things away from the ballpark together, which I think made us even better on the field.
You were there for 2 absolutely memorable moments, neither of which necessarily is a positive memory. One, Gibson's home run, which is perhaps the most famous play almost in baseball history. There's a bunt try popped up. Hobson will get it. Bonifacio retired for the first out here in the third, and Travis Snyder will step in. Obviously, a sinking feeling. You got one of the best closers in the history of the game on the hill against a guy who can't even make it around the bases, and yet that moment happened and had to be tough to be on the downside of that.
Well, it was, and I started that baseball game too, so it was a game that I felt I was in control of, even going into the 9th inning. And Tony and I, we talked about the situation. He decided he wanted to make a change. I felt I could continue to go. But once again, when you got the best closer in all of baseball finishing the game out, there's no reason to think that anything is going to happen but positive. And, unfortunately, Gibson hit the home run.
In for a strike to Snyder, and the count levels up here at 1-1. The following year, you guys are in the World Series against the San Francisco Giants, and the earthquake hit, delaying the series. And with all the damage that earthquake did there in '89, I'll never forget watching that. Al Michaels calling it. All of a sudden, the earth starts to shake. They go off the air, and it had to be a terrifying experience.
You know, had I not grown up in the area and been through smaller earthquakes, nothing that large, but smaller earthquakes, I probably would have come out of my pants. But, you know, we were in the clubhouse. I was in the clubhouse with Dave Parker, Ricky Henderson, and Dave Henderson before any of that happened. And we were in there goofing off like we always do, and all of a sudden we've got smoke coming out of the air vents, and they were telling us to get on the field. And once we got on the field is when we knew what exactly had happened. You know, you got fans, and there's a noise that you never forget when people are in terror and fear. And they were rushing our families from out of the seats. Within a 10 or 15 minute period of time, we had every law enforcement officer that you could possibly have on the field trying to get some calm in the stadium. And so it was an unbelievable experience.
You guys went on to win that series. You were the MVP of the series. Is there anything better than to win at the championship at that national level? I can't imagine anything, at least career-wise, being better than that.
I mean, if you're in team sports and you believe in team, then there's no better experience. It's the accumulation of everything that you've ever wanted coming into spring training. You talk about it, and there are a lot of teams that come into spring training and they talk about winning a World Series. And there's some teams that come into spring training and they know they have no chance of getting to the World Series. But we felt we had an opportunity and a chance. And that's all we talked about. That's all we dreamed about. That's all we wanted after being beaten by the Dodgers.
You also won a second one with Toronto a few years later. You got to be part of that series in '93.
Now that was for me, a great experience because, you know, I was a free agent and I did not want to leave Oakland, and we couldn't come to terms on anything that would keep me in Oakland. And so, you know, I knew my career was coming to an end, and I wanted to have an opportunity to win one more time. And so Toronto turned out to be the perfect place.
Brooks Hall finishes off the inning with a couple of strikeouts, but Anthony Vega gets his ball club on the board, a solo home run starting the inning. We go to the bottom of the third, 2-1 in favor of the Barnstormers. Again, we have a very special guest in with us tonight, former Major League All-Star, two-time World Series champion Dave Stewart, a man who put together 4 straight 20-win seasons. And these days, a 20-win season is a rarity. Would you be able to do it the way baseball is now?
I think there are going to be some guys. I mean, you got your Max Scherzers and Verlander. You know, if Kershaw was healthy, those guys, I think, always have legitimate chances to win 20 games. But, you know, the way the game is specialized today, winning 20 games, the lack of innings pitched, I think winning 20 games is going to be a lost art in the game sooner or later.
Here's Darian Sanford. He tries to bunt on Larkins, but that one easy for the right-hander to handle. out 1-3, and Blake Galen will come to the plate. Sanford single had scored. You had heard about Darian before you got here. He stole a base back in the first inning. What are your thoughts on him?
I got to tell you what, he stole that base and the ball hadn't even left the pitcher's hand yet. That's what I call fearless base running, almost Ricky-like. I mean, I looked at his numbers, and I don't know how far you are through the season. I think you got to be halfway through.
Well,
he's got 32
this
already.
is game 49.
Yeah, I mean,
that was his 33rd.
He's got 32 already, or 33. I mean, he's got an opportunity to win, upward 60, 70 stolen bases before the end of the season.
Blake Galen down a strike here. 2-1 Barnstormer lead, bottom of the third. Clubs exchanging home runs. And another breaking ball to Galen for strike two. Blake coming into tonight on a 10-game hitting streak. His 10-game RBI streak was snapped last night. Larkins with the 0-2. Galen able to check on a pitch in the dirt. Ryan Castile, the designated hitter, waits on deck. What are you doing now?
Actually doing pregame and postgame for NBC with the Oakland A's. So I get an opportunity to do, I think they have me scheduled for 81 games this year. So that's been pretty much it. I've had a sports management business that I've been doing for a long time, 16 years.
Yanked out to right. Galen gets that down, headed into the corner. Snyder will take it. Galen racing for second, and he will be in well ahead of the throw. A double for Blake Galen. The hitting streak alive at 11 games, and the Barnstormers have a runner in scoring position for Ryan Castile, a designated hitter. Castile flied out his first time up, but Blake Galen, once again, a hitting machine.
And so, I've been doing the sports management thing, and not as much since I took the job with the Arizona Diamondbacks. My wife has pretty much taken over that business and basically booted me out. But she does a great job, and the management company is doing well. But, my primary is doing pregame and postgame, which I really love. I like being around the game. It gives me an opportunity to be around the players. And, I've been baseball now for 40-plus years.
Castile with a high fly ball out to right field. Snyder going back. Snyder to the track, and he will be there to make the catch. Galen tags off second. He'll advance to third standing. Ryan Castile coming up just a few feet shy of that big wall out in right field. Now Casey Hobson stepping in with 2 outs, and Galen over at third. Other nights that goes, but the wind isn't pushing that way this evening. Castile trying for that wall. Hobson cleared it back in the first inning. The Barnstormers with 5 hits in 2 2/3 off of Matt Larkins. But as I mentioned earlier, he does not give up walks, and walks glue big innings together. You hated walks, didn't you?
I did, but I used them smartly. The key is when you walk them and who you walk.
2-0 now to KC. Trayvon Robinson waiting on deck.
Try not to walk those 200 hitters before you get to the 300 hitters.
Got some discounts on food and beverage tonight at the ballpark. Thrifty Thursdays. The Hobson 2-0 pitch. Nice breaking ball. He wasn't going to go for that one. 2-1. Larkins and Brooks Hall, and again, all the runs we've seen coming on home runs tonight. Not unusual here. First 11 runs on long balls back here on Monday. To Hobson, 2-1 pitch, a towering pop-up first base side. David Washington over on the apron in front of the Lancaster dugout. He will handle it, and that ends the fourth inning, or the third rather. The Barnstormers unable to take advantage of the Galen double. They leave him at third, and at the end of 3, it's 2-1. We're through 3 innings tonight. The Barnstormers with the 1-run margin, simply because the Barnstormers and the Ducks do not know how to play a game any other way. We'll go into the top of the 4th, and it'll be David Washington leading off. What hitter did you own in your career, and what hitter did you have the most trouble with? Because there are always those guys.
I know I had problems with Greg Vaughn. And quite frankly, when you say who did I own, I like to think I owned them all. And I know that's not true, but I can't think of the one guy that just stands out that anytime he came to bat, I knew I was going to get him out. Maybe Steve Lyons might be that guy, but Steve Lyons wasn't very much of a hitter, and if I couldn't get him out, I probably didn't deserve to pitch.
David Washington stands in to start the 4th inning against Brooks Hall, who, by my counts, thrown only 31 pitches tonight. Number 32, a quality strike to start him off. It's 0-1. Lights have been turned on at the ballpark. We're probably 20 minutes away here on the Solstice from a very beautiful sunset tonight, but right now still a lot of glare here. Ground ball slowly hit. Big hop off the edge of the infield grass for Bortnick, and 1 out. Here in the 4th inning, since the home run by Vega, Hall has recovered and retired 4 in a row pretty easily. If Bortnick had been playing up toward the edge of the infield grass, that might have knocked him in the teeth. But laying back, it just made it an even easier play. He didn't have to bend over even. Here is Ard, who grounded into a force out, closing the top half of the 1st inning. Again, both these starters facing tonight's opponent for the 3rd consecutive start. First pitch is too close, ball 1.
I'll tell you what, that's a difficult thing to do, to face a team 3 consecutive times. That's difficult to do. You have to really change things up.
Yeah, you can't surprise them with anything anymore.
You're not going to be surprising. So you better have a real good job of recall and how you got people out from game to game and what you did in certain situations, because you got to believe that the hitters are going to be doing the same thing.
And that's where your catcher can come into play as well.
Well, you count on the catcher, but you better darn well recall yourself. I mean, there's certain things that you really need to pay attention to with hitters from at bat to bat, where he stands in the batter's box, if that front foot is opening because you've been pounding him hard in, or if he's leaning out across the plate. I mean, there are so many things to look for when it comes to hitting, that really, with the catcher calling the game and trying to put down the right pitch selection, you as a pitcher need to take responsibility for yourself.
Ard awaits the 1-2. Wrapped, base hit left field. That is the 3rd hit off of Brooks tonight. And with 1 out, Daniel Fields, the center fielder, will come to the plate. What was your favorite ballpark to pitch in?
I really like Boston. Most people would probably say I'm crazy, but I really like pitching in Boston. I like the closeness of the fans. The fans felt like they were right on top of you and you could touch them, which, depending on what they said, I wished I could touch them. And then, the pitcher's mound, you felt like you were right on top of the hitter. So I really like being in Boston, and it was really, in my opinion, a great place to pitch.
To Fields, missed by a fraction there. It's ball 1, no strikes. Close ball game, 1 out. Ard, a runner on. Daniel Fields spent some time in the big leagues with Detroit. Mentioned 6 out of the top 7 in the batting order for this Long Island Ducks ball club. Has been to the major leagues at some point, some longer than others, namely the top 3, Bonifacio, Snyder, and Ford. Popped up foul the other way. We get to 1-1. First of a 4-game weekend series, and then a 7-game series down in Sugar Land, Texas, coming up next week. Could you imagine in your career playing the same team 7 games in a row?
Doesn't happen. You know what? I tell you when it happened. This is back in the old Pacific Coast League when the Hawaii Islanders were in the league, and we'd have to go over to Hawaii, and you spend a week there and come back broke. You spent your,
nowadays it's Las Vegas where they come back broke. But
how about meal money back in those days? $12.50 a day. How long would that last in Hawaii?
1 pineapple and you're done.
Wouldn't even buy a Big Mac.
I heard the runner at first base. Well, they play a doubleheader on Sunday, wasn't it? And then try to get you out on a red-eye back.
That's right.
1-2 pitch, chopper foul.
Be almost impossible to go over to Hawaii and come back winning the series. They win all their games at home and lose them all on the road.
That franchise moved to the mainland late 80s, maybe?
Yes.
And I remember the Pirates were in there toward like 86. Ground ball to Hobson. He'll go to Frias 1. Back to KC 2.
It was nicely turned, by the way. That was really, really well turned.
3-6-3. Casey Hobson, good defensive first baseman. 1 hit, none left. Brooks Hall keeping the pitch count down tonight. We're through 3.5. Still a 2-1 ball game. In here with me tonight is former Major League star Dave Stewart. Won 20 games 4 years in a row back in the late 80s and 1990 for Oakland, a two-time World Series champ. I see you're not sporting those World Series rings. I've met a few other guys who have won one, and they don't come off. But
I don't think I've ever worn them.
We've won a couple of championship rings here, and it's nice for a few days, but those things can be rather cumbersome on your fingers. You do tend to take them off after a while.
Bruising up your other knuckle.
Trayvon Robinson leads off here in the fourth. Of course, everybody in this league, it's their objective to try and get where you have been. And
back to the big leagues. I remember this young man. He was Seattle Mariners.
Seattle Mariners, yes.
Yeah.
Outfielder. Larkins works inside for a ball, 1-0. And Trayvon was actually the left fielder behind Felix Hernandez's perfect game. Mm-hmm. That's a memory that you can never take away from somebody, just like winning a World Series. In the air, left field, hit well. Vega will scamper back. This guy will watch it, and that ball will bounce up against the wall. If Vega can't get there, nobody can, and nobody could. Robinson at second base with a leadoff double going the other way against Larkins. The Barnstormers with their sixth hit, their third for extra bases. We watched Vega make some really nice running catches at Bethpage Ballpark last week against the Barnstormers, but this one too far away into that deep angle, 373 feet from home plate out there in left field. So a runner at second base, Nate Coronado stepping in.
This ballpark's got some nice angles. This is my first time coming to this ballpark and seeing it. It's got some really, really nice angles. I like this ballpark. The ivy, I think, is beautiful out there in the outfield. You've got the little sitting area out in the left field seats, and in left field, this is a beautiful ballpark.
It's a wonderful community. And say that having come here 14 years in a row. Fouled by Coronado at his 0-1. And this is a fun league, too. You have such a mix of players. You talked about all the Ducks with Major League experience, but the guy that got on the mound tonight, Matt Larkins, his he's come to this league and a relatively inexperienced guy and doing just as well as the ex-big leaguers. It's fun to watch. You don't know who's going to come out on top.
You know, the funny thing about this game is, you know, on a given day, anybody can compete. And I strongly believe this. If you have success, you will build more success. And now you don't even recognize that the guys you're pitching against are ex-major leaguers. The success just keeps breeding more success. You build more confidence, and you think you can get anybody out.
1-1. Coronado will pop this up. Foul ground, overcomes Washington, and he's got another one. Well, he retired Hobson in almost that same spot last inning.
You know, when I was learning to pitch, Sandy Koufax was the guy that got me on track. I was a high school catcher, drafted as a catcher. My first assignment was Bellingham, Washington in 1975, and when I got there, it was the first time I'd ever pitched. And so I went 2 years not winning a baseball game. I got to the instructional league in 1976, and Sandy became my special instructor. And Sandy, at the end of spring training, made it as simple as you could possibly make it. He said, whenever you think you can't, keep it simple and just think, can you get anybody out one time? And when you put it that way, it made it so much easier for me. The next year I go out and I win 18 games. I'm 18-4 after winning no games the first 2 years. And I always kept that in mind.
Frias swings and hammers a ball deep to right down the line, and the walls will not contain it. Vladimir Frias with his 4th home run of the year. And the Barnstormers have grabbed a 4-1 lead. It's all home runs to right field again tonight. Frias having this great season, and he takes Larkins out on the line drive down the line. Since you left the game as a player 25 years ago, what changed you like the best?
What changed?
What changed in the game?
Yeah, I do like the replay. I do. At first, I wasn't sure I would, but I do like it. And I like it because it allows you to get the play right. And there are so many games that are determined, and people don't realize it, but there are one single play, whether it's in the first inning or in the 9th inning, can determine whether a team wins or loses. And so replay allows the umpires to get the play right, and it puts the game in the perspective it should be, where everything is even. The game is not affected by a missed call. So I like the instant replay, probably best of all. I'm not a big fan of the wild card. Still not a big fan of the wild card.
De La Rosa punches the ball to right in his tracks Snyder. That's out number 2. And Tyler Bortnick will step in. We're in the bottom of the 4th. Dave Stewart, our guest here this evening. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad you could stop in here in little old Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Enjoy this town as long as you're here. It really is a wonderful community. It's been named in many surveys one of the top smaller cities in America. Enjoy it, and don't be a stranger.
Oh man, believe it or not, I came here probably 5 or 6 years ago. My wife and I, and we were with another family, Cornelius Bennett, ex-football player, and his wife, Kim Bennett, and their 2 kids, and my son. For some reason, my wife wanted to do an RV trip from Pennsylvania to New York. And none of us had ever driven a 45-foot RV before, so guess who was the driver? So I'm driving the RV. We're in downtown Philadelphia, and we go down a one-way street that is almost as narrow as the RV is wide. And I'm praying that nobody opens their car door. So we ended up driving through Lancaster when we did that trip. And when I was coming in today, I remembered it. I remembered it as though it was yesterday. There's some beautiful farmlands out here, just absolutely unbelievably beautiful. And this was one of the better parts of our trip, coming to Lancaster.
2-2. Bortnick chases that. He goes down on strikes. It is the first for Larkins. Dave Stewart, again, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having
you
me.
could be here. And again,
Really
don't be a
appreciate it.
stranger.
Thank you.
Dave
Thank you very
Stewart,
much.
former All-Star, former World Series MVP, our guest tonight here the last couple of innings, and he's built the Barnstormers a 4-1 lead. Eric May jumps back on the headset now. Eric, I had always heard he was one of the true gentlemen of the game, and I wasn't in the least bit disappointed.
No, he really was. It was great just to sit back and listen to stories. And I tell you what, when you look back and when he played, he had that intimidating look with the Fu Manchu, and I tell you what, he looked fearsome. What a sense of humor. Oh, my goodness. Great guy. And he still looks like he could go out and pitch today.
He is. He's 61 years old. He has me by a couple of years, but I look at he doesn't. Let's just put it that way. Ramon Cabrera leads off the top of the fifth. Brooks Hall staked to a 3-run lead. Now the key is holding it. Hall will go to work. Cabrera drives a foul the other way.
Yeah, he was kind of joking that he was bad luck for Long Island. I don't know. It was kind of good luck for us because we got that 2-run home run from Frias.
He wasn't good luck for us last night. If he was bad luck for the Long Island, the Barnstormers needed the Ducks to win last night. One strike to Cabrera. All ready to go and wide of the plate. It is 1-1. Brooks has allowed 3 hits, and he has struck out 2 over the first 4 innings of the ball game here tonight. To Cabrera, 1-1, fouled away again. It is 1-2.
Well, what's nice about the Lancaster offense is they're getting a little bit of everything. A couple of singles, a couple of extra base hits, a pair of long balls. What do you have a pitch count there on Larkins?
I have him. I have Hall at 44, Larkins at 53.
Okay.
Might be off 1 or 2, but you get the idea. To Cabrera, that ball is lifted to shallow center. Sanford takes charge. Darian with the catch for out number 1. The only leadoff man that has gotten on base for the Long Island Ducks tonight was Vega with the home run back in the 3rd inning.
Well, and you kind of got the impression, too, that Dave Stewart would not want to worry about Sanford at first base. He was really impressed.
Yeah, the question I was going to ask him, and I forgot about it, was how he would pitch in this ballpark. Would it alter his approach to pitching? Swing and a miss by Cody Puckett. Down a strike. It is 0-1. Brooks Hall has bounced back from the disappointment of thinking he was going to the San Francisco Giants and then having the deal fall through. His first start back from that wasn't good. It may have also been because he had gone a long time in between starts. But a great outing for him against the Ducks last weekend, and he's got a good one going tonight, and a much needed one right now.
Yeah,
for this Barnstormers ball club.
So far, so good. I would love to see a couple of more innings out of Hall. And the fact what he has gone through with getting up to, well, not getting to San Francisco, but getting picked up, and then it not working, that could derail you. But he's refocused, and, now he's determined to get back on track again and maybe get picked up by somebody else.
And just looking for that one additional chance.
Yeah.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Hall to the plate. Breaking ball is managed anyway by Puckett. Grounded foul. It is still 1 ball and 2 strikes. The skies off to our southwest are turning very gray. I don't think we're under any looming threat tonight.
No, I don't think so. Well, you think about it, too, and Dave Stewart played for 2 great World Series championship teams.
Swung on and missed. Fastball gets him. Strikeout number 3. Those Toronto teams were legendary. He went there for the second World Series win in '93.
Now, I would be curious to find out which he thought of those 2 teams was better.
I think the fact that he was with Oakland for so long, and they made it to the series 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be more memorable. Not only they lost to the Dodgers in '88, beat the Giants in '89, lost to the Reds in '90. 2 outs, and here's Vega. He shows bunt this time, takes a ball. Anthony Vega responsible for the only offense the whole evening long for the Long Island Ducks. Leadoff blast up onto the deck back in the 3rd inning.
I wouldn't mind if it stayed that way.
2-0 from Hall, and this is where Brooks Hall needs to settle back down. Yeah, the guy beat you last time. Just don't be afraid of him. I don't know, these first 2 pitches out of the zone, and we haven't seen Hall that way all night long. Don't make the same mistake, though. 2-0 pitch, yanked down the right field side and foul. It's 2-1. You can be tentative after a guy
Well, sure.
beats you the first time around.
Especially a left-hander in this ballpark.
Yeah. 2 balls and a strike. Hall to the plate, foul to the screen. And that home run just came out of the blue back in the 3rd inning.
Yeah.
Hall had a little trouble with 2 outs in the first. The single in the 4th inning was erased in a hurry. Dave Stewart, very complimentary of Vladimir Frias in between innings for the way he turned that 3-6-3 double play. Now 3-2 on Vega. Top of the order, Emilio Bonifacio waits on deck. So the Barnstormers have a 3-run lead now. Neither one of these clubs has really been able to secure any kind of a lead in this entire season series. So Hall looking to get through a 1-2-3 inning here. Payoff pitch due to Vega. 3-2 is on the way. Got him. Breaking ball swung on and missed. 4th strikeout for Brooks Hall. So he bounces back from the 2-0 count. Goes on the attack again. And pitches a perfect 5th inning. Lancaster holds the 4-1 lead.
Bottom of the 5th, a 4-1 Lancaster lead, and that 3 is that magical number again. There it is, 3-run lead.
But this time it holds, at least for a half an inning. Barnstormers would love to be able to build on it. They don't want any late inning drama tonight. The Barnstormers need a win after dropping the last two, the lead back to one. Sugar Land's idle, and that means we're going to be a half game off going into Texas. The lead 1.5 or a half or 2.5. Hopefully it will still be a lead. That's not mathematically guaranteed. Tonight should help.
The 2 two-run home runs are nice, but I think the Hall performance tonight is even more important.
I do too. Breaking ball to Sanford for a called strike. Darian's 1 for 2. We don't want to take anything for granted right now. Leads can evaporate in a hurry in this ballpark. Inside and low to Darian, 1-1. You'd like to see the Barnstormers build something else offensively. They've, better than any other team in this league, they have handled Matt Larkins this year. They haven't beaten him yet, but they certainly have done some damage to him. 2 6-5 losses to Larkins. Sanford ahead in the count, 2 balls and a strike.
Love to see him get back on base again.
The Larkins pitch, lifted foul, out of play. We go to 2-2. Galen and Castile will follow. The home runs belong to Hobson and Frias tonight. Good for all 4 Barnstormers runs. Blake Galen and Trayvon Robinson have doubles in this game for the Barnstormers. Coronado, De La Rosa, and Sanford with singles. So there's no one guy doing it all. Here's a 2-2. Darian swings and misses. He has gone on strikes. That is the second for Larkins, but they have come back to back. Blake Galen will come to the plate. He is line to right and double to right.
But the guy just keeps hitting.
Blake Galen leading the league in home runs by 1 over Courtney Hawkins, and runs batted in by 8 over Hawkins of Sugar Land. Larkins to the plate, and he misses with it. Ball 1 to Galen. Designated hitter Ryan Castile on deck.
I mean, last series against Somerset, 7 out of 12. Against Long Island, in the previous series, 5 out of 13. This man's in a groove.
11-game hitting streak, the longest by a Barnstormer this season. Currently in progress and already extended tonight by Blake Galen. Larkins with the 2-0, sails outside for ball 3. And at this point, you wonder what Blake has to do.
Yeah.
What does he have to prove?
That's why I said the other night, you know, at his age, is he still going to get a shot? You know, just, I mean, how can you put up better numbers than what he's doing right now?
Called strike. It is 3-1. Last year it was the 25th of June, I believe, when the Dodgers came calling. I was notified after a Sunday game in York that he was leaving for Tulsa. 3-1 pitch, missing for ball 4. Galen, a 1-out runner here in the 5th inning. And the exception to the rule for Matt Larkins, when we say he doesn't walk anybody, there are exceptions, but it's only the 8th base on balls and 53 in the 3rd innings, and any manager will take that rate out of a pitcher.
You better believe it.
New Britain blasting Southern Maryland tonight, 9-0 bottom of the 6th, and the Road Warriors are up 6-1 over at York. They're in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Again, Sugar Land and Somerset are idle tonight. 1-0 on Castile. This is an Atlantic League rarity where you get, in this case, a new series starting and the same night 2 others are finishing. Yeah. We don't see that very often.
That's why when you said that early on, I was thinking, well, wait a minute, why wouldn't they be playing?
1-0 pitch. Castile pops this up shallow right. Snyder charging in. He'll be there. Castile held hitless so far. Galen still a runner at first base now with 2 outs. And the batter is Casey Hobson, who is homered and fouled out.
Well, we saw KC with that first inning home run. And again, the way he's been swinging the bat, you can see little by little he's starting getting a little more comfortable now as far as back home again in Lancaster.
Larkins has only thrown 65 pitches here through 4 2/3 innings. The shift is on against Hobson. Ball 1 inside and low. The left-handed batter they can't shift is on deck, and Trayvon Robinson. He can hit the ball where it's pitched most of the time. Galen chased by a throw that almost eluded Washington. It was a good thing for Larkins that David Washington is 6'5".
Yeah. He used every bit of that 6'5" frame, too.
Matt Larkins has never pitched in a major league organization. Right-hander out of Moscow, Idaho. 2-0 out of KC.
Boy, if Hobson was somehow able to get one down the left field line, Blake Galen would be able to jog home. Vega's in the gap in left center field.
And Ard is way off the line, the third baseman. 2-0 pitch, popped up foul. I mean, if Casey were to miss-hit a ball and drop it in down the left field line, say about 80 or 90 feet behind the third base bag, and have it kick sideways, runners could go for a while. 2-1 to Hobson. Galen the runner at first with 2 outs. Larkins ready to go. KC gets ball 3.
You can see Larkins trying to be a little selective with his pitches to Hobson. Doesn't want to make a mistake.
Here's the 3-1 pitch. Hobson with a soft line drive to right, and pulling up on it, Snyder in for a base hit. Robinson will come to the plate. The Barnstormers have their 8th knock off of Larkins. Of course, Snyder was playing deep against KC, and the Lancaster first baseman gets it down in front of him. You don't want to try to be a hero there. If you make a diving try and miss, Galen can score. Snyder wise enough to respect that and believe that Larkins can retire Robinson. Hobson becomes the first Barnstormer to pick up 2 hits in the game. Trayvon would like to join him here. Galen at second, Hobson at first. Robinson has flied to left and doubled to left. He'll get ball 1 well outside. Third baseman Nate Coronado waits on deck. Barnstormers would like to be able to break this game open. They know that the Ducks are a very feisty bunch in the late innings. They've seen that already. Larkins works to Trayvon. 1-0 pitch. Ground ball on the right side. That will get through. Snyder is up with it. Galen is being sent. Here's the throw home, the slide, and he's safe at home plate. RBI base hit for Trayvon Robinson. A close play at the dish. Galen able to slide past Cabrera's tag. Lancaster leads by 4, and Coronado will bat with runners at the corners.
And this is all Blake Galen, too, because of the fact that he knew that the throw was coming home. He went wide instead of going straight in, which you see so many guys do nowadays. He took it wide and able to get that foot in. Yes, indeed, he was there.
Yeah, and because you can't block the plate any longer, Galen able to get around the tag attempt of Ramon Cabrera.
You know, it's just small things like that that know that you have to go as wide as you can. If he would go straight in, he might have been out.
The batter is Coronado, who is 1 for 2. Larkins to the plate and low.
But a clutch hit by Trayvon Robinson. Love those 2-out hits.
Snyder had a little bit of air under that throw. It wasn't a bad one. It was right on line. But just enough for Galen to be able to score. Coronado chopper in the infield. Tough play. Ard will charge it. He'll get rid of it, and he will cut him down. 5-3 to end the inning. That's another run if Taylor Ard doesn't make a good play there. So it's a run, 2 hits for the Barnstormers. They leave a pair, and at the end of 5, it's a 5-1 ball game.
Another beautiful sunset here in Lancaster. Long Island batting in the top of the 6th. First of a 4-game series, and the next telecast we'll have for you on BRC 11 will be coming up Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Of course, games sprinkled in tomorrow night and Saturday night as well.
It's Farm Show weekend at Clipper Magazine Stadium. Always a lot of fun out here at the ballpark.
Got a nice crowd tonight.
Yeah, for a Thursday night, it looks like a Friday night crowd.
Well, it's Blue Ridge Appreciation Night.
Yeah. Taylor Ard played this very nicely, getting Coronado. If that's a ball hit by, say, a Bortnick or a Sanford, he probably doesn't get him.
And it didn't look like he handled it cleanly, too. So really nice job by Ard to stay with it and get that third out.
And Brooks Hall just needs to command this ball game right now, as he has through the first 5. A strike to Bonifacio. It is 0-1. Hall has faced 3 batters over the minimum through 5 innings. Here's the next pitch. Sliced toward left center. Robinson will be there. And out number 1. Travis Snyder to the plate, 0 for 2. He is grounded out and struck out. 4th put out for Trayvon tonight.
Yeah, Long Island has not really squared up on many balls here tonight. I mean, obviously the home run from Vega, but I mean, the base hit by Washington in the first wasn't really hard hit.
To Snyder, a ball. It is 1-0, and just checking on the official pitch count, that for Brooks Hall was number 62. So somewhere they ended up a little bit short. Strike at the knees. It's 1-1. He's pitched the ball game the Barnstormers have needed.
Oh, desperately needed. And if he can keep it to a low pitch count in this inning and go into the 7th, 70, low 70s, you know, maybe you could get that 7, who knows, maybe 8 innings out of him.
1 ball and 2 strikes. The count to Hall against Travis Snyder. Veteran major leaguer. He's had a couple of double-digit home run seasons at the big league level as Snyder. We've had a lot of Snyders in this league, all pretty good hitters over the last few years. Michael Snyder, his brother Brandon, both with Southern Maryland. Michael Snyder in the Atlanta Braves organization right now. He had a couple of huge years with the Blue Crabs. Dangerous hitter, scary hitter, especially in their ballpark, but realistically anywhere. The dimensions here, not a problem for that big guy. 1-2, and that is slammed to right. There goes another one. 4th home run we have seen in this ball game, but both have been solo for the Long Island Ducks. It's now 5-2.
That's why every run Lancaster can get, you take them when you can get them. And we sent it countless times. No lead is safe in this ballpark.
7th home run of the year for Snyder. That's gone anywhere. It's not a Kyle Roller home run. Yeah, Travis, I hate to say this, but you got a long way to go, even with that home run. It was impressive, but it was not Kyle Roller.
I just
that long ball will live in infamy here.
Wow, I keep thinking
the Roy
about
Hobbs
that
shot. The only thing that Roller failed to do was actually shatter a light and send a shower of sparks onto the field. Ball is inside, 1-1. If I remember War Memorial Stadium in Buffalo, where that was filmed, that also had a very short dimension in right field. So there were similarities. Swing and a miss. Ford bats 1 and 2. One thing I like about Hall tonight, he has been unfazed by the long balls.
We've seen a lot of long balls here. I know Ryan Harvey to left field. I think he hit one of those backdrops.
And Fernando Seganol hit one in left center on the back end. Well, 1-2, Ford line drive out the right field, crisply hit, cut off by Galen, but that's a one-out single. The Ducks are fighting back here in the 6th inning, facing Hall the 3rd time through the order. David Washington will come to the plate, and it's time to be careful as we once again look at the Kyle Roller blast from the other night.
Oh, my.
Roller's not had much of a season, but he's had a couple of highlight home runs here. Now David Washington stepping in, 1 out of 2. And Hall needs to be careful here. He is outside for a ball, 1-0. Got to look at Lou Ford. He can't go a game without at least one hit against the Barnstormers. He's hit almost 400 for his career off of Lancaster pitching, and he's been around this league seemingly forever. Washington skies this to left. It'll take Robinson back a pace or 2, but he is there for his 5th putout of the game. Shades of Jonathan Galvez, who had 8 for New Britain on our last homestand. 2 outs. Taylor Ard will step in. He is 1 out of 2.
Trayvon's been busy out there. That's his 5th putout.
All in 2 innings. 3 in the 2nd and 2 here in the 6th. We talk about Larkins and the few walks he's given up this year. Hall only 9 and 38 in the 3rd innings coming in. Breaking ball, dances in, a strike on Ard. 73rd pitch from Brooks. Get a look at Barnstormers bullpen area. David Ruckert down there, Matt Marksberry. Here's the 0-1. Oh, he chased that. Hall has him, no balls and 2 strikes. Trying to finish off the inning, still leading by 3. Lou Ford, the runner at first base with 2 men gone. Ford hasn't done as much harm to the Barnstormers this year, but you tack on the 1 for 2 tonight. Yeah, he's 10 for 28, 357. Swing and a miss against a powerful fastball. 5th strikeout for Brooks Hall, and he retains at least a 3-run lead. A home run and a single, 1 man left for the Long Island Ducks, 5-2 through 5.5. We talked about having a nice crowd out here tonight with some of the elements coming together. 1, no threat of rain. I mean, that's been a rarity this summer. And you got the kids now out of school. Blake Galen talks things over in the dugout. Trayvon Robinson in the foreground. And up here, several rows above the field, myself and Eric May.
Yeah.
And last time we had this shot, Dave Stewart was in here. Remarkable guy.
Yeah, great interview.
That was a fun experience.
It was just kind of neat to hear some of the old stories of the A's and his stories and time that he spent with Toronto. Of course, Phillies fans don't want to remember that because that was '93, the walk-off home run by Joe Carter. I remember it well because I was cheering loudly. Sorry, I had to say that. But
they beat Atlanta the year before, and then the Phillies in '93.
Yeah.
Here is Vladimir Frias, homered his last time up, and squares around a bunt, and then watches another pitch come at his toes. Vlad's been hit 8 times this year, and 6 or 7, I think, have hit him in the foot or the ankle. They like working him down and in, and they miss every now and then. 1-0 pitch, lined into left center field, down for a base hit. Well, we've already had Dave Stewart paying compliments to Vladimir Frias defensively tonight, but he also has to like what he sees at the plate. So should Vladimir Frias suddenly end up having his contract purchased, you may know why, by a certain West Coast team.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully that night off, got a night's rest, did not play. Hopefully that kind of recharged the battery for him here in this playoff push here for the first half of the season.
10 Barnstormers hits over 5+ innings against Matt Larkins. Anderson De La Rosa has one of those hits, a ground single into left, back in the second. To the plate here, and a strike on the outside corner. It's 0-1.
Think we'll see Frias running?
It's possible. He has 9 steals for the year, 3 in one game against Long Island last weekend when they had their backup catcher Keith Ozerski, and a little tougher against Cabrera. De La Rosa goes after the 0-1, pops it up foul. Washington will not have a play this go around. It is 0-2.
Yeah, he's got long arms, but not that long.
Frias on board here. I keep talking about it. Frias is certainly having an all-star caliber season, but you might almost look at it as not that far away from being an MVP caliber season. 0-2 pitch. De La Rosa fouls another one off. With the on-base percentage being up where it is, top 5 in the league in batting right now. He's hit some big home runs for the Barnstormers. Tonight's is the first that hasn't come against Somerset. And with the exception of occasionally a mental gaffe out there at shortstop, he's handled that position very well. The set, Frias does go, ground ball left side toward the hole, and underneath the glove of Bonifacio. Wide turn at second for Frias, he'll pull up. De La Rosa is on board for Lancaster, runners at first and second with nobody out. I have to believe Bortnick will probably be bunting here. That is a base hit for De La Rosa.
Yeah, Bonifacio, I think, took his eye off it at that last split second, thinking maybe he had a shot at De La Rosa, but just didn't stay down on it to field it.
The Long Island Ducks do have a left-hander warming up in the bullpen. Kevin Baez is going to take time to make a mound visit here. First and second with nobody out. Vladimir Frias, the lead runner at second base, and there you see the southpaw tuning up in the Long Island bullpen. That is Asher Tolliver, one-time major leaguer, the losing pitcher in the finale at Long Island at Bethpage Ballpark last weekend. He gave up 2 hits and 2 walks in the 8th, and all 4 of those men scored. Tyler Bortnick steps in for the Barnstormers, who have Frias at second, De La Rosa at first, nobody out. Larkins looks Frias back to second.
And I think this is a chance for Bortnick to do what he does best, and that's work the count on the pitcher.
You've got Ard and Washington up at the edges. They're anticipating that Bortnick will be bunting here. He's going to pull off and take strike 1 to the outside corner. Well, that's exactly the sequence the Ducks were hoping for. Ross Peoples continues to coach third base here, which means the Barnstormers haven't gone to the bullpen yet. And there's a reason for that. Brooks Hall has given the ball club a gem tonight through 6 innings. Bortnick bats 0-1. We'll let that go. It's a ball away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sanford waiting on deck. Ross going through all the signals.
This has got the makings of something big here for Lancaster. You get your first 2 guys on, good speed at second base as well. Bortnick can find a hole.
The set, the 1-1 offering, hit in the air, right field. Not all that deep, though. Snyder back. He'll make the catch, pretending he couldn't see it. Frias is going to advance to third on the out. He tried to decoy Vladimir into leaving a little bit too soon. Frias would add none of it. First and third, and Sanford to the plate. Again, if you're the Barnstormers, you want to put a run on the board here. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big inning, but you want to still assert your position in this ball game since the Ducks have scored the last run. We're going to have a pitching change coming up. Kevin Baez returns to the mound. That'll be it for Larkins. He seems to have run into his Achilles heel with the Barnstormers. Third straight start against Lancaster. He's given up 5 runs. He hasn't been terrible. He hasn't been blasted, but Lancaster's gotten to him more than any other club has. Tolliver will be taking over to face Darian Sanford. Sanford will switch to the right side of the plate. We've got a break. We'll be back with a key matchup. Left-hander Asher Tolliver, who hails from North Little Rock, Arkansas, will be facing Darian Sanford here in the 6th inning. 2 of Matt Larkin's runners on board, only 1 out. Tolliver has been to the major leagues, 5 appearances for Baltimore in 2016 and 3 for the Houston Astros last year. To Darian. Line drive, base hit into left field. Sanford comes through as Frias comes home to score, and it's 6-2.
Well, what a nice piece of hitting by Sanford, jumping on that first pitch. Shot it through the hole. Yeah, I was thinking when he came up, will this be one where maybe he tries to push a bunt up the first baseline?
I was thinking the same thing. Instead, he goes after the first pitch, and what's interesting about that is Sanford walked against Tolliver in that 4-run 8th inning last Sunday, but the situation's different. He was leading off the inning there, trying to get something going. Here he's looking to pick up a run. He does. To Galen, breaking ball misses. Ball 1 and no strikes. Galen 1 for 2, a double, a walk, and a run scored here tonight.
You know, and it just goes to show you the effect that Hall's performance is having on the rest of the team. They just look relaxed tonight. And they're coming through with big hits in key situations.
Robinson in the 5th inning, Sanford here. You've got the home runs by Hobson and Frias with a man aboard. to Galen. Foul ball back to the screen. Blake had ideas on the 1-0 pitch. A ball and a strike. Barnstormers are seeing Tolliver for the 4th time. They hadn't done much against him until Sunday. Overall, he's in his 16th game, 0-2. His ERA is 5.79. De La Rosa still belongs to Larkin. Sanford is Tolliver's man. To Galen, 1-1. It's low. 2 balls and a strike. Ryan Castile due next.
I like it because they picked up that run that Long Island scored the previous inning with a chance to add more.
Yeah, there's always a lot of gamesmanship with the momentum in baseball. Maybe not as much as football or basketball, but you can feel it sometimes shift back and forth. To Galen, 2-1 pitch. He leans out of the way and gets ball 3.
I almost had to smirk when you asked Dave Stewart, what do you like about baseball? And he said the replay. And I know you're not a replay guy.
Yeah. I think I'll talk about that after this. Big swing and a miss by Galen. We go to 3-2. The replay to me shows more often than not that the umpires are better than the average fan. And I think maybe the average player thinks they are. And we've seen that here, too.
Yeah.
We've had grumbling about calls. I can't say balls and strikes, but I'm talking ball plays on the bases. More often than not, those umpires are right.
Yeah.
Here's the payoff to Galen. He gets ball 4 up and in, and now Castile will bat with the bases loaded. The Barnstormers have a chance to put this one out of sight. Ryan Castile is 0 for 3 so far tonight, as Tolliver missed pretty badly to Galen with the full count pitch. Castile is 1 for 6 with the bases loaded this season. That was a grand slam. You just want Ryan to pick up one more run here. It's 6-2 now. Tolliver to the plate, and it's ball 1 outside.
Although a base hit could be 2 with Sanford at second base.
Yeah, exactly. The Barnstormers have scored in 4 of the 6 innings so far in this game. Here's a 1-0. Castile fouls it our way. Ball 1 and strike 1. Ryan hit that grand slam off the Road Warriors' Kelvin Villa in the first inning, back in the second game of a doubleheader on the 20th of May. 6-run inning there for the Barnstormers, and that one almost got away. 7-6 victory at the end. To Castile, a high pop fly, foul territory. Washington coming over, and he's got room for the catch. It'll be up to Hobson here with the bases loaded and 2 outs. That's the 3rd catch for David Washington on the apron tonight. You won't see that happen terribly often, especially here. Foul territory isn't all that fly at Clipper Magazine Stadium. Now here is Hobson looking to do something he has not done yet, and that is get a base hit off a lefty. Since coming back here, he's 0 for 10 against the Southpaws. Tolliver to the plate, and Hobson gets hit. It'll force in a run. 7-2, and Robinson will bat.
Right off that protective plastic on his elbow.
The book is closed on Matt Larkin's 11 hits, 7 runs in 5 1/3 innings tonight. With a walk and 2 strikeouts, we'll look at Casey Hobson's home run again as he launches one up onto the deck. That's number 1 you'd like to think of many upon the return of Hobson. Lancaster leads by 5. It's now the biggest lead either club has had in the season series. Trayvon Robinson digs in. He's 2 for 3 tonight. Bases still loaded. Trayvon with a foul ball straight back. It is 0-1.
8th batter of the inning and still a chance to add some more. Yeah, this guy's just been, he's been fun to watch this year.
And amazingly, this is Robinson's first at bat with the bases loaded all season long. with all these base runners that Lancaster has had, it's his first shot to step in. Now, in contrast, Galen has batted 11 times with the bases loaded.
Wow.
Wealth getting shared a bit here. 1-1 to Robinson from Tolliver. And to the plate, he almost gets hit. How Trayvon got out of the way there, I don't know. 2 balls and a strike. Coronado, the on-deck batter. 3 of 4 batters have reached base since Tolliver took over. They're the men currently on the bags. Two 2-1 pitch, spun foul back this way. Robinson batting at 2-2. Trayvon walked against Tolliver Sunday. Robinson has not been swinging the bat that well right-handed. He's batting .250 as a right-handed hitter on the season. Well over 300 from the left side. 2-2. Tolliver to the plate, struck him out. Well, the Barnstormers can't get the devastating blow, but they do pick up 2 additional runs here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. It took 3 hits. They leave 3. At the end of 6, Lancaster's up 7-2. The variety of hues and the sunset here tonight at the summer solstice. And we've had a good, crisp ball game so far tonight with the Barnstormers ahead by 5 going into the 7th inning. Ross Peoples is going to turn this game over to his bullpen. This is a beautiful start for Brooks Hall this evening. He gets nicked by a couple of home runs to right field in this ballpark, but outside of that, 3 singles, a hit batter, never in danger of giving up that big inning that has plagued this ball club. Kevin Munson will take over here in the 7th, facing Fields, Cabrera, and Puckett. Munson in his 18th game of the year.
Yeah, you look at it, the biggest threat that he faced was that first inning. They had runners at first and second with 2 outs. After that, there was only 1 guy on base.
Yeah, 2 home runs, and the 1 guy that got the first in the 3rd inning, he was doubled up, and another single by Ford in the 6th. Nothing developed out of that. Munson will go to work. His first pitch misses. It is ball 1 to Daniel Fields, who is 0 for 2.
Boy, a real nice outing and something to build on, and hopefully that
big swing and a miss by Fields. It's a ball and a strike.
Joe Gardner paying attention to some of the pitches and the sequence that Hall was using tonight. Maybe pick it up and use that again tomorrow.
Gardner and Albaladejo will both be facing the Ducks again as they did last weekend. That sounded like it may have broken the bat. A weak foul ball into the third base seats, and you betcha Daniel Fields has to go back and get another one. Only 75 pitches thrown by Hall tonight.
That's a very distinct sound. That bat cracks. Yeah, I really thought he might have come out to start the 7th inning.
Either Ross is just trying to preserve his arm for a big start against Sugar Land coming up next week. And I think that start is actually going to be Tuesday, and he may see them again on Sunday. Ross is indicating, and nothing is concrete about this, but he might go back to a 5-man rotation. Fastball is high, 2-2. Something to consider, because when you've seen the way the starts have gone here the last few days, it begins to enter into your mind, is the gap between starts too long at this point of the season? Here's a pitch swung on and missed. Down goes Fields. That's one out here in the 7th inning. Kevin Munson, a guy who has struck out 20 and 14 and 2/3 innings this year. He's given up only 2 earned runs, but those were to the Ducks. His loss hung on him at Long Island on our first visit there. Here is Ramon Cabrera. He's 0 for 2. You look at this Barnstormers bullpen, the composite ERA for the relief staff, 2.15. Fouled away. It's tough to come back on this bullpen.
Yeah, you're going to have those games where you get nicked up like they did in that one New Britain game, but for the most part, these guys really have done a stellar job this year. And you combine that with the way the starting pitching went during that long winning streak, that's what helped them pad that lead.
1-1 on Cabrera. And again, Sugar Land is off tonight.
Well, you pick up whatever you can. A half a game is a half a game.
Munson works the outside corner to the left-handed banner. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Munson giving up more hits and fewer walks than he did a year ago. Soft-spoken guy, intense competitor, Kevin Munson, and a cerebral guy. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Nasty slider. That's 2 strikeouts.
He looks very much in command here.
Did you do the game where he threw the 23 pitches and struck out 5 batters against Southern Maryland, or was that Pete? I can't remember.
Southern Maryland.
It was, I believe, the finale of Southern Maryland series here on the Sunday. Munson just took over and basically ran the table back on June 3rd.
Yes.
Up and in for a ball on Puckett,
yes,
1-0.
I do remember that now.
That was one of the more remarkable relief outings I've seen for more than 1 inning.
Yeah, it's like, here it is, miss it. Here it is, miss it.
Foul ball back to the screen, which I think is more success than Southern Maryland had that afternoon. He was on the corners with great stuff. Southern Maryland just got blown away. They had the one pop-up, and that was it. I mean, that was just a stunning performance in a close game. He ended up getting the win and then saving his own victory, which technically you can't do. 1 ball, 1 strike here. That is hit down the right field line. Racing over on it into the corner is Galen, and that is a fair ball off the wall. Puckett will glide into second with a double. A little bit of a surprise there. I thought that ball would go foul.
Yeah, the way it was tailing away. But again, that's a very narrow corner. And of course, we lose it too.
I have to wait for the umpire. Galen on the dead run. Still don't know what happened to it. It probably hit the wall fair by about 2 or 3 feet. Actually, it looked like it might have hit the pole. And I guess bounced out of play temporarily. But it's a double for Puckett one way or the other. That brings on Vega, who has homered and struck out. And Munson dispatches the two left-handed batters on strikes, but Puckett punches the ball. And again, on the replay, it looked like it might have hit the foul pole and bounced sideways. First pitch is wide. Ball 1-0.
Well, Blake threw his arms up as if it went out of play.
And I think that it may have for a moment, and that's all it takes. Swing and a miss. It's 1-1. And for the moment, Munson nastier to the left-handed batters.
Yeah, if the bullpen can continue to do what they have done so well this year and just shut down Long Island over these next couple innings. What a tremendous outing from all involved.
Ball 2 is outside, 2-1. But again, you can't let up. Not here.
No.
We have already seen 4 balls leave to right field tonight. Munson working 2 balls and a strike to Vega. Breaking ball popped up foul. It's 2-2. Tyler Bortnick and Ryan Castile, the 2 guys without hits in the 12-hit Barnstormer attack tonight. 2-2 on Vega. Taken out of the zone, I think high. 3 balls and 2 strikes now from Munson. But here's a situation where if Vega reaches base now, somebody could, you got a switch hitter in Bonifacio, a left-handed batter in Snyder, somebody could take a shot at that right field wall, and suddenly it's a 2-run game. That's how big this is. 3-2 pitch, and he missed with it. Ball 4. Vega on board, and Bonifacio will come to the plate. Bonifacio is 0 for 3. The screws tighten a bit.
Yeah, and I missed it. A little high and wide. And so far tonight, Lancaster's been able to keep Bonifacio in check.
0 for 3 for the switch hitting utility man playing shortstop tonight. Dan Lyons has the game off. Munson to the plate, and Bonifacio looks at strike 1.
I can see why he doesn't have any hits. His picture up on the board, he can barely see through all the hair on that Sports Clip video board.
Long time in the major leagues for Emilio Bonifacio, native of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. Arizona, Washington, Florida, Kansas City, the Cubs, Atlanta, the White Sox.
How are you supposed to see
He's got one eye. Munson's offering. Little looper out the left field. This is a challenge, and it's going to fall for a base hit. Quick throw into third, but to the wrong side of the bag, and Coronado can't handle it anyway. A blue pit drives in a run. Suddenly it's 7-3, and the ball game's in danger. Puckett scores on a blooper by Bonifacio.
Yeah, just a little bleeder, and Trayvon gave it a run, but again, realized, you know what, I have to play it defensively, keep it in front.
There was a legitimate chance to get Vega at third base.
Yeah.
Robinson's throw was to the foul side of the bag. If he hits, and he was on the run when he made that short throw, but if he hits Coronado on the fair side of the bag, I think they have Vega. And it's inning over now. Snyder, who homered back in the 6th inning, steps in with the tying run in the on-deck circle. Munson to the plate. It's low, ball 1. And things have gotten dicey here in the 7th inning. All with 2 outs. Munson made quick work of Fields and Cabrera. He struck them out, made them look bad. Puckett plunks the double off of, again, I believe it was the foul pole. Vega works out the walk on the 3-2. Bonifacio with the blue pit. This is a big batter. To Snyder, fastball for a strike. And we're at 1-1.
Boy, and especially when you, like you said, Fields and Cabrera just set him down. Just the perfect way to start the inning.
Snyder batting with runners at first and third and 2 outs. Munson's 1-1 pitch in the air to dead center. Sanford has it gauged, inning over. One does score, but that's not devastating. The Ducks leave 2, time for the stretch, 7-3 Lancaster. It's Clipper Magazine Stadium. Home runs to right field are a thing, and we have seen 4 of them in the ball game tonight. First RBI base hit in something other than a home run belonged to Trayvon Robinson. There's Travis Snyder leaving with his second Ducks solo blast of the night. And the Barnstormers get an RBI single from Darian Sanford. And Casey Hodson, bases loaded, hit by a pitch to make it 7-2. The Ducks just coming back on this floater to left by Emilio Bonifacio to take it to a 7-3 ball game as we head into the bottom half of the 7th inning. And we're going to see right-hander Jake Dunning take over for the Long Island Ducks. Asher Tolliver allowed 3 base runners, a single, a walk, and a hit batsman. Didn't give up any of his own runs. As you look at Dunning coming in, he is a 29-year-old from Fleming Island, Florida. Also has time logged at the major league level. Nate Coronado, Vladimir Frias, and Anderson De La Rosa scheduled in the bottom half of the 7th inning against Dunning.
So they need to put the pressure back on Long Island, get that run back.
14th appearance for Dunning. He's 1-3 with a 9.53 earned run average. He had a hard time as a starter. He settled down a bit in the bullpen. Missing to Coronado for ball 1. Nate's 1 for 3 on the night. Barnstormers facing Dunning for the 3rd time. They've gotten base runners but haven't scored off of him. 1-0 pitch. Runs outside for ball 2, 2-0. 7-3 Lancaster. The Barnstormers need 6 more outs to get the lead back to a game and a half. Check swing. I think Coronado went too far. He did. Caldwell makes that decision himself. 2 balls and a strike. Derek Moshe umpiring first. Troy Steffi coaching first base for the Barnstormers. A lot of people in this area know Troy if you've been around sports in this vicinity. Up the middle and a base hit for Coronado. Lined into center. Nate with his 2nd hit of the evening. That is the 13th for the Barnstormers. Vladimir Frias coming to the plate. Good clean base hit to center for Coronado. Nothing fancy about it. Here is Frias. He grounded into a double play in the 2nd, but since then a 2-run homer and a solid single into left center. 2 runs scored, 2 runs batted in for Vlad.
Be nice to see if they can bottle some of these hits and save them for tomorrow as well.
And Saturday and Sunday, and then into next week. High and inside for a ball, 1-0. The Barnstormers need to look at tonight's formula, and this was the formula of the 12-game winning streak, and replicate it now. They had gotten off of that plan, and the reason they'd gotten off it was the starting staff had stumbled a bit. At Brooks Hall, with a great effort here tonight for 6 innings. And if you give the Barnstormers that kind of a start, you're probably going to win 9 times out of 10 because it's so difficult to shut this lineup down. Foul back by Frias to go to a ball and 2 strikes. And I'm not sure Bilo and Kubiak have the outings that they have for as long as they did if those runs aren't on the board that they got supported with. Could they keep it going? Because I think the Barnstormers ended up just a little bit back on their heels, not to take anything away from Bilo and Kubiak because they really pitched well. 1-2 to Frias here, and he'll take ball 2.
Well, you get the combination of the outing from Hall plus the offense early. Sanford started the ball game off with a base hit, got a stolen base, scored on the 2-run bomb from Hobson. Right away, you could see they got right out of the gate.
And that was the formula in the 12-game streak.
Yep.
Good starting pitching and score early. And it
because it
was a great plan. I mean, the starting pitchers won the first 11 of those 12 games, and Steve Johnson could have. But I think an error was involved, and one lead did get away. 2-2, Frias swings and misses against Dunning. No third hit tonight for Vlad. That is only the 4th Barnstormer to strike out in the ball game. De La Rosa will step in. Anderson's 2 for 3. He has scored a run.
Yeah, he swung the bat well tonight. That was a nasty pitch. Just dove in on Frias.
Yeah, had some pretty good bite to it.
I think that was just pretty much a defensive swing to try and stay alive with that at bat.
De La Rosa nubs a foul up the third base line. It's 0-1. Jake Dunning, product of Indiana University, despite having gone to high school in Florida. That's an unusual combination with all the great D1 baseball programs in the Sunshine State. He's gotten to the major leagues with the Giants. 30 total appearances. And he didn't have bad numbers at the big league level either. 20 hits, 12 walks in 26 innings, 2.77 ERA. De La Rosa with a pop fly, shallow right field. Snyder will latch on. That's out number 2. This inning's up to Bortnick. Tyler's 0 for 3.
I think that's the last time De La Rosa is going to use that bat. That sounded like it broke as well.
Three runs batted in for Casey Hobson tonight. The lineup, by and large, has had a good night. Again, Castile and Bortnick have failed to reach base.
Well, they're putting the ball in play.
Yeah, but a lot of guys have had good nights. Nobody's had a super night. First pitch high and a check swing by Bortnick, 1-0.
But they only struck out 3 times tonight, so put the ball in play and see what happens. And it's worked out well tonight.
Coronado still at first base, now with 2 outs. To Bortnick. Chopper foul at the plate, hopping around crazily as it always does when it hits the foot first. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bortnick, the master of bubble blowing. He's the best on our ball club. He is the Lancaster champion bubble blower. Pete and I spent about 3 innings of one game doing nothing but talking about Bortnick and blowing bubbles.
You have a video montage of that.
He's impressive. 1-1, taken for second strike. make it 1-2. Darian Sanford waits on deck. Again, a guy who's had a good night, not a great night. Same could be said of Galen and Hobson and Robinson, Coronado, Frias. Dunning ready to go. Here's the 1-2, taken down and away. Ball 2 and 2 strikes. Such a beautiful night weather-wise as well.
Yeah, that sun was warm today, but well, here it is, 9:15. It's a shame that we have some clouds yet, because this is the longest day of the year.
Fouled back of the plate. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes on Bortnick. I'll tell you what, if the Barnstormers win this game, we may have to make an offer to Dave Stewart. Keep him here at least for the weekend.
Well,
I don't know how we're going to convince him to do that, or
whoopie pies.
Yeah,
whoopie pies.
Convince Mrs. Stewart to allow him to stay here for the weekend. But
well,
2-2. There goes Coronado, a comebacker off the hand of the pitcher Dunning, but it's played nicely by Puckett. Bortnick thrown out. That will bring the 7th inning to a close. 1 hit, and the Barnstormers leave 1. We'll go to the 8th, and a 7-3 Lancaster lead. Well, we'll wrap up the homestand with our next telecast here on BRC 11. Sunday at 1 o'clock, the Barnstormers against the Long Island Ducks. And then it's about a 4 o'clock bus to the airport on Monday morning. Woo! The long day. Down to Texas. We get there an hour earlier, so it's because we pick up the hour. It's actually a 25-hour day when you make that trip. Here's Scott Schumann. He'll pitch the 8th inning against Long Island. Kevin Munson goes the 7th, gives up a couple of base hits and a run with 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. We have a 7:45 flight out of BWI, and we land at Hobby Airport in Houston at 9:50. A 7:05 game that night in Texas, the first of 7.
Ooh, that's a long day.
Look at that photo. With the all-time Barnstormer, Blake Galen. He and Ross Peoples.
Yep.
2 most memorable players in the history of this franchise. Over a long haul. Both holding a lot of our career records. Scott Schumann misses to Lou Ford with his first pitch. Ball 1, no strikes. Ford tonight, 1 for 2. He's been hit by a pitch. You get a look at Blake out against the lit scoreboard in right field, the video board. Ball 2 is high, 2-0.
Did you ever ask Blake what his plans are once his baseball days are done?
I haven't, because I'm not sure he's ready even to contemplate it.
Not that we're,
Yeah,
moving his years along.
We don't want to push him too fast. Strike taken by Ford. It is 2-1 from Schumann.
Or is he going to pull a Tom Brady and say he wants to play till he's 45?
The way he's looked this year, he might be able to. Well, what a season Galen's having. 2-1. Schumann to Ford. That doesn't get there. It's ball 3. Ross must feel that after the past couple of games, his end game guys need the work. Schumann pitched Monday, struck out 3 around a double and a walk. To Ford, 3-1 pitch. Ground ball headed toward the middle. Frias can't get there, and Lou Ford is 2 for 3 tonight. No shock there. We can't get him out. Even if he doesn't hit the ball that hard, we can't get him out. It just keeps going. It's like 7 years now. David Washington will step in. He's 1 for 3. The Ducks trying to apply some more pressure here. Just straight up the middle. Ford will use the entire field, foul line to foul line, a man who turns 42 years of age on the 12th of August.
Wow.
David Washington to the plate, 1 for 3 tonight. Ducks are trying to make this game a bit scary here in the late innings. Not there yet. Swing and a miss by Washington. It's 0-1. Barnstormers, the first few games between these two ball clubs this year, pretty much picked apart Washington, but now it's turned around a little bit. He has a base hit tonight. He had a game-winning 2-run homer on Saturday. No balls and a strike here. Schumann comes back, and Washington looks at strike 2 on the outside corner. 0-2 on 6'5" David Washington is from San Diego. Played in the Orioles organization prior to this. He's 27 years old. 0-2. Schumann getting the signal from De La Rosa. The pitch, breaking ball that is cut on and foul tipped, held. A strikeout for Schumann. 8th for Barnstormers pitching tonight, and we're talking about Scott Schumann, who strikes out batters on a pretty regular basis, as does Kevin Munson, his predecessor in this game. Schumann just recorded his 25th strikeout this year in 14 1/3 innings.
Wow.
1 out, 1 on. The batter is Taylor Ard. He's 1 for 3. Infield set up, double play depth. Schumann to the plate. That's chopped to third. Coronado backhanded stop, goes to second, back to first from Blake, a double play. That's better than back-to-back strikeouts. Schumann through the 8th inning, nicely turned around the horn, started by Coronado. Well, that is the second double play turned by the Barnstormers here tonight. We're going to the bottom of the 8th with a 4-run advantage. Barnstormers ahead by 4 as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Sanford, Galen, Castillo, top of the order, and they will see Lee Sosa, a right-hander from the Bronx, who will turn 27 in September. Just a single-A experience in his background, but right in the mix. Barnstormers handled pretty well by Sosa in his one appearance last weekend. We just announced on the board, Tom Richards had actually seen this on social media. Jason Urquidez, he's 35 years old and a career minor leaguer, but he's getting the opportunity to go pitch in the Japanese major leagues. And I am so excited for Urquidez. I still think when all is said and done, we've had great closers here over the years, but I think Urk's the best. And for him to get this opportunity to really make some money. He's made decent money in Mexico the last 3 years, but for him to be able to go over there and pitch against some of Japan's best players and some major league players from this side of the ocean, I think that's great.
And especially at 35.
Yeah.
You don't get that at 35 years old.
We had Brandon Mann earlier this year make his major league debut at age 34, a former Barnstormer. Here's Darian Sanford facing Sosa. Darian tonight 2 for 4, run scored, run batted in. Sosa's delivery is low, and ball 1.
Yeah, I mean, that is the equivalent of our Major League Baseball over in Japan, so that's quite an accomplishment.
Popped up behind shortstop. Bonifacio will go back and take it. Sanford retired. That's 1 out. Here in the bottom of the 8th, Blake Galen coming in. And this is why Galen's 10-game RBI streak was impressive, because you don't always get the opportunities to drive in runs. Well, a lot of it had to do with his teammates. Galen's had a great night at the plate. He's lined out to right field. He's doubled into the corner, and he's walked twice. But you don't see an RBI in all of that. He'll take a ball outside from Sosa. It's 1-0. And Galen has just worn out the Ducks this year anyway. He has 4 home runs out of Bethpage Ballpark. And we talked about how Galen has hit the majority of his home runs in his career here, but he's torn up Long Island this year. Inside and low, 2 balls and nothing. Just the fact that they have kept him in Clipper Magazine Stadium tonight is kind of a moral victory for them. He is 9 out of 27 in the season series with the 4 home runs. 2-0 from Sosa. That ball laced out the right field also. Snyder coming in, and he will make the catch. That's the second diving catch he's made against Galen in the last week or so. He made another one last Saturday night. 2 gone, Castile stepping in.
I didn't think Snyder was going to get to it, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, my. He sold it, and they bought
did
it.
he ever.
Oh.
Envelope, please, and the award for best performance on a baseball field goes to...
Let's see, if Dave Stewart were here, he'd say, pull up the video replay. Let's take a look at it again.
A ball is inside and low, 1-0 to Castile, who's hit the ball in the air all 4 times tonight. He got one almost to the wall back in the 3rd inning. 7-3 Lancaster, bottom of the 8th. Breaking ball for a strike. It's 1-1. And I imagine that the Barnstormers might have gone out to argue under different circumstances, but hopefully that hit wouldn't have been necessary. Hopefully it won't be. 1-1. Castile with a fly ball out to right again. Snyder angling over into foul territory, and he'll make the catch here. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Lee Sosa. Barnstormers go down in a hurry and take another look at this one. Travis Snyder charging in, and it sure looks like that ball hit grass just in front of the glove, but
yes,
the Barnstormers didn't get the call. We're going to the 9th inning, 7-3. It's not a save situation. The Barnstormers decided tonight to use the back end of the bullpen as if this were a closer game. Matt Reynolds is going to have the opportunity to put an end to this night, but he won't get his 13th save if he does. It's a 4-run lead. Left-handed hitting Daniel Fields and the switch hitting Ramon Cabrera to start off this 9th inning. Munson gives up a run in an inning. Scott Schumann with the leadoff base hit for Ford, but Schu got out of it from there. And here is Reynolds to face Fields. 7-3 Lancaster going into the top of the 9th inning. Matt did not get the pitch in the series against Somerset. It's been 4 days. He threw Sunday against the Ducks. He misses outside here. Ball 1 to Fields. It's 1-0. And he had 2 saves at Long Island last weekend in all those close ball games. 1-0 breaking ball back to the zone. Fields' knees buckled. It's 1-1.
Really like to see a quick inning here for Reynolds too, just in case they would need him again tomorrow night.
1-1 pitch popped up. Can Coronado get to this? Foul territory. He's still tracking it down, and that ball into the seats, and Coronado leaning over, can't quite latch onto it.
Ooh, that's a shot to the ribs too, up against that cement wall.
Or a shot to the wall.
Well,
Coronado's a hoss. Over there trying to bring this one back in. Other side of the tarps. Steps are there, and he just couldn't quite make that grab. Well, no steps right in his path. And that landed on this side of the barrier. 1-2, the count on Fields.
He'll get more opportunities like that.
Reynolds to the plate. That's strike 3 called. It doesn't really matter. 9th strikeout for Lancaster pitching in the game tonight. Big first out here in the top of the 9th. Ramon Cabrera will step in. He's 0 for 3. We mentioned at the outset of the broadcast that Somerset has the tiebreaker on Long Island. They won the first half series. The Patriots, with 2 more outs here, would go 3.5 up. The 2 clubs do not play each other again. And that makes it tough on Long Island. Reaching and missing is Cabrera for strike 1.
This is the first step, though, in this series. Get that first game. Hopefully carries over into tomorrow night.
0-1 fastball for a second strike. It's 0-2. Just a thirsty Thursday tonight. We got a giveaway tomorrow and fireworks coming up on Saturday. Promises to be a great weekend here in Lancaster. 0-2 to Ramon Cabrera. Reynolds has struck out 1. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Ground ball, second base. Nice easy hop for Bortnick, belt high. 2 outs. Cody Puckett extended the 7th inning with a double down the right field line. Now needs to keep the game alive. With Cabrera running, Bortnick had all day. He made sure he had the right grip. Didn't want anything getting away there. Just an easy game of catch with Casey Hobson.
I'll be anxious to hear what Ross has to say about Brooks's outing.
I'm sure nothing but glowing words. The Barnstormers needed that so badly. Fouled back by Puckett. It's 0-1. Because now the Barnstormers run into back-to-back tough left-handers in Bennett Perry and Jake Fisher the next 2 nights. Lancaster will have Gardner and Albaladejo. We could have a couple of really tight ball games the next 2 nights, and Sunday as well. The Barnstormers and the Ducks, to me, this has been the best baseball we have seen this year. When these 2 teams get together, these games are fun. Foul ball back to the screen, down to the last strike.
Well, especially when you rattled off that stat of how close these games have been in every game this season. So this would be the largest margin of victory if it stays at 7-3?
Oh, yeah. There had only been one non-one-run game, and the Barnstormers scored late last Friday night to make it 5-3. 1-2 on Puckett. Reynolds to the plate. He won't chase. It's ball 2. One strike left to get. The Barnstormers will go a game and a half up on Sugar Land and wrap up a record over 500 for the first half with a win tonight. Here comes the 2-2. Puckett pops this up. Anderson De La Rosa sheds the mask. Casey Hobson is there as well. They almost bump, but the catch is made and the ball game.
Who caught it?
I think Della came out of there with
Yes,
it.
he did.
Yeah. A 1-2-3 inning for Matt Reynolds in a non-save situation. Barnstormers grab the opener here tonight. The next two will just be on the Barnstormers YouTube channel. Again, we've got some great promotional events coming up here in the next couple of nights as we watch Anderson De La Rosa come out of there, taking the baseball pretty much away from Casey Hobson. And they'll laugh about that now, and in the clubhouse later on, the Barnstormers secure the victory. We'll be back with you on BRC 11 Sunday at 1 o'clock for the series finale. Tomorrow morning, the Barnstormers, for the 41st consecutive day, will wake up in first place here in the Freedom Division. But now the question is, will they wake up in first place July 6th? That is the key. Big win tonight, 7-3 for the Barnstormers. Now for my partner Eric May, for Dave Stewart, and for all the cast and crew, I'm Dave Collins. Have a great evening. We'll see you at the ballpark.